is infrastructure we're talking about, cable.
Yeah.
But also, Joe Biden mentioned the fact that he said last week, if I blindfolded you and took you to LaGuardia Airport, you'd think you were in a third world country. Which, of course, the usual howlers on Fox News were very upset about that. But he's completely right. It does look like a third world country.
Can I tell you something surreal that happened to me? I flew back from Mogadishu, Somalia, and I had a connecting flight that took me into LaGuardia. I was wishing to be in the VIP lounge at Mogadishu, Adenad Airport in Somalia.
Come on, Mogadishu?
No, I wasn't. I got robbed in that airport.
Okay, I was going to say.
But they probably had faster internet connections there.
But, I mean, we do, I mean, show this chart. We found this chart of this is our infrastructure spending since the beginning of the century. And as you can see, it's fallen right off, just like a truck off a bridge, which will happen soon. You know, I think the scandal with the George Washington Bridge is not the traffic tie-ups, it's the fact that it's still standing. It was built in 1927. Almost all the bridges in New York were built at the end of the 19th century, the beginning of the 20th century. The George Washington Bridge happens to be 80 years old and in need of $1 billion in repair, like Joan Rivers. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you very much. But it's funny because, you know, when you hear people say that we can't saddle our children or our grandchildren with debt, and that's why we can't raise taxes. But really, I mean, if we don't raise taxes to pay for this kind of stuff, aren't we saddling our children and our grandchildren with something much worse? And they're going to have to pay for it eventually.
I mean,
right?
remember, the power grid in this country goes back, it's pre-Eisenhower. The entire infrastructure of this entire, you can pick almost any category. Our educational system is pre-Eisenhower. Our bridges, pre-Eisenhower. Our power grid, pre-Eisenhower. I mean, if you look at the chart you just put up, or any of the infrastructure, and then you look at the pool of unemployment in this country, which is the other side of the equation, it's sort of an absurd situation where you have a lot of work to be done, you have a lot of people that are looking for work, and you simply need to organize the people that are looking for work to actually do the work that needs to be done. So it's one of those things where, as bad as it appears, I also actually think that the opportunity, there's a lot to do, if you know what I'm saying. And
I think the president has made that point. I remember once he stood under a bridge and said, you know what? I've got a jobs bill. This bridge is falling down. What do you say? 2 plus 2, folks?
Right.
Anyone for 2 plus 2 equals 4? And the Republicans went, no.
Yeah, let's be fair here. This is one area where Obama has tried to push hard. You know, in 2011, Senators Kerry and Hutchinson proposed a pretty modest idea for an infrastructure bank. Not a huge amount of money, but could have pumped more money into states for these projects. Right. The Tea Party killed it. I mean, the Tea Party believes in infrastructure. It's called a fence along the border. And that's about it, right? But they're killing everything else. Here's a no-brainer. I live in New York City. We got hammered by Sandy. There are tens of billions of dollars of damage. We pay a price for our shoddy infrastructure because it can't withstand the kinds of threats that we're going to see with climate change. We need to invest in infrastructure not just to improve the quality of our everyday lives, but also for climate security. What we saw in New York, what we're seeing in London right now, is that if we don't have systems that can withstand the heavy rains, the big water that's to come, we're going to drown, we're going to be in trouble, and we're then going to spend tens of billions of dollars just to get the same shitty stuff back.